UX. Welcome to my class. For those of you that were not around during the intro session rather, I'm going to introduce myself again. Okay? So, I'm trying to go to my next slide. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. My name is Amina Gamaliel. I am tutoring from Jos Plateau State right now. I'm a UIUX designer and an educator. These are my social media handles. I have a UIUX community that I'm trying to build. So feel free to join in after this class. Okay, so let's get right into it. This is what we're going to be treating today. We're going to be talking about UI/UX. What is the goal of UI/UX? Design thinking, UX techniques, user research, user data analysis, creating personas, working with scenarios, prototype testing, and information architecture. This is what we're going to look at today for week 1 of understanding UI/UX. So if you have any questions, you're confused about anything, please drop it in the chat section, okay? We'll try as much as possible to get back to you on each of the questions and we'll forge ahead from there. All right, let's dive right in. What is UI/UX? Okay, for instance, today I had like a very rough experience. So I would say that was one of the scenarios where I would have loved to have a good user experience, for instance. So what does UI stand for? User interface, okay? What does UX stand for? User experience. What is the UI we're looking at here? The UI is that part of the digital software that the user interfaces with. Also, before I go any further, I would like to say that UI/UX is not limited to just digital products. It's a very vast field. But for the sake of textilers and the fact that we're trying to do tech, we're going to limit UI/UX to just digital products. If not, beyond that, you can look at UI/UX from a very wide perspective, okay? So the UI stands for user interface, which is that part that interfaces with the user. When you get on a website, all those icons you see there, all those buttons, the images you see displayed, they are all part of user interface. Same thing when you're on any app, all the images you see there, the buttons, all those things are what is being regarded as the user interface. Those things that the user is able to interact with, to be able to solve one problem or the other. When you visit a website, you're looking to solve some sort of problem. You're looking to get some kind of information or something. Your ability to be able to reach those informations or product or service you're trying to get, you will have to interact with the buttons that are right in front of you to be able to achieve that. So all those things you see there when you arrive is what we refer to as user interface, okay? So the job of UI falls to a designer, a graphic designer, whose skill set is, oh sorry, I jumped one slide, forgive me. Okay, Oh, okay, actually I do. Okay, so the job of a UI designer is to decide what the application is going to look like. So UI is basically the look of the interface of any digital product. So the look of it is the UI. So the UI designers are also referred to as graphic designers whose skill sets is for designing user interfaces. It's not just any graphic designer that can design a UI for you. You have to have that skill set. That is why usually when you hear UI, you hear UX because they work together. So for you to be able to understand how to design a good UI, you should also have a knowledge of UX, that's the user experience, to know how to go about placing placing the items, the elements of the page for the users to be able to interact with easily and effectively. Okay, so that's it about the UI. So let's just quickly, okay, yeah, like I said, UI designers are graphic designers. Okay, it's up to them to make sure that the application's interface is attractive, visually stimulating, and then themed appropriately to match the purpose and the to match the purpose. I need to move this. Okay, of the and the personality of the app. It is the job of the UI to determine that. If I'm selling, if I'm designing a website for children, it is the UI designer that should be able to tell what kind of elements, what kind of images, what kind of buttons do I need to put on that page to make it user friendly for mommies. Chances are when I design a site for children's products, it is mommy that will visit that site. So when I'm thinking of building a site for mommy for children, I'm thinking, oh, mommy is likely to be the one to visit that site. So I'm thinking, oh, what are those things that can appeal to mommy when she's on that site? What are those things that would make her take a second look at that site to be able to proceed to get what she wants? So thoughts like that is what a UI UX designer would explore to be able to have a successful product at the end of the day. So let's quickly see what UX is. Okay, so I told you earlier, UX is user experience. And I was trying to give a scenario. Like today, I was trying to, I had some major issues with my router this morning. And when I kept calling customer care, what the steps they told me I had to take to get the router working again was was so tedious. I was almost losing it this morning because I felt, okay, you should be able to design your products in a way that someone can easily navigate and fix problems for themselves whenever they're having any issue, not to struggle on how to find how to fix the buttons. Because the guy, the customer care guy, kept telling me, look for the number. When you look for the number, then you send the text. I'm like, sir, the number is not on the product. He's like, yes, you have to send a text to A and B and C, and the whole process was all over the place. Okay, so that made me have a very messy user experience. Okay, so it's the same thing for your users. When you build a site that they come, they get confused, they don't know where to find anything. They have to search, they have to use search bar to find everything they are looking for. You don't place your buttons in obvious places where they come and they can just click it and get the results that they are looking for. Those are some of the issues that users face. Okay, so a user's experience is determined by how they are able to interact with your product. If they have a very confusing interaction, they might end up getting frustrated and they are going to leave your website. That is why it's important for people building websites for businesses and for products to invest in good UI UX designers to help them build websites and mobile apps that people actually visit. I'm sure some of you here have experiences where you finish downloading an app from your Google Play Store and you want to now use it to do something, and maybe, in fact, most issues is usually the OTTP. You send something before you get your OTTP to continue to the next stage in the app is usually an issue. That on its own is a very bad user experience. When you're building an app, you should make sure you fix the bugs to ensure that whenever somebody is trying to register for something and they have to use an OTTP, the OTTP is supposed to come like in seconds, not the one that you wait. I've had that with like a multi-billion naira company on Google app. I downloaded their app and I was trying to register, and I was shocked that for such a huge company to make overlook things like this. And I was wondering, this is a company that I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure you all have your similar experiences with apps that you download. To move to the next phase was an issue. It became really frustrating, and I just uninstalled the app because I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that such a huge company could have issues with not fixing an app that actually works. So that's to tell you that most people who jump into creating apps don't even employ UI UX designers, or if they do, they tend to underestimate their parts in building all these softwares. The part of a UI UX designer is very crucial to any app, any website that you're building. If not, you're just going to waste your money building websites and apps that nobody is going to care about, nobody is going to use, nobody is going to visit again after the first time. So that's how important this is, okay? So you need to have, that's basically what UX is. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so we've said this before. The user experience is determined by how easy or difficult it is to interact with the user interface elements that the UI designers have created. Okay, it's the UI designers that will create the elements, but before that, the UX designers will have to go through a series of phases before the UI designers will get the job done. We're going to go through that later, okay? Usually the UI designers, they come after the UI UX guys have done all the research they need to do before they proceed to the next phase of building the digital products, okay? So also, yeah, they determine the structure of the interface, the functionality, which is all we've been trying to stress. Okay, how organized is it? Do they make sense to one another? Is there a flow? Not the one that, okay, when you move to the next page, you have to come back to the previous page to find something. You need to be organized. You need to be organized. The flow needs to be seamless from one button to the next, from one page to the next, so that everybody is happy at the end of the day. So what is the goal of UI UX? The goal of UI UX is problem solving. Is that simple, but it's also not that simple. If I may put it that way, okay? It's not easy to solve problem. You and I, we know, we've had one experience or the other trying to help fix even our own problems, not to talk of another person's problem. It's not easy to fix problems. So that's why I said, okay, it's easy, but it's not easy. That is the goal of UI UX. Solve problems. What kind of problems are we talking about? Well, we are talking about digital products, right? Who are the people who usually own these digital products? They are business owners, people selling products, people selling services. Those are the people who own digital products. I'm not sure there's anybody that just decides, oh, I want to build a website for the fun of it, or just to have it out there. Everybody building a website or an app is trying to solve a problem. Okay, so you have a huge role of trying to make their own jobs easy for them to be able to solve those problems. Okay, so the primary goal of any business is to increase sales and growth in their business. Okay, so the UI UX personnel or experts, they play an essential role in achieving this goal. Okay, so they help to smoothen how users can come and interact with your website until it gets to the conversion phase where they make that decision to buy your product or your service. Okay, so, and of course, in a world where we have so many people doing so many similar businesses, you for you to achieve that goal, it means you need to do what the next person is not doing. And the fastest way to achieve that is to make sure that you have a good UI UX designer that would help make the look of your site, make you look good by making your site look great and easy to use. Okay, so the UI guys will come and create really nice interface, use lovely fonts for your site, choose the right image that matches what you're selling or the services you're offering, and then the UX guys come in and they try to make the flow seamless for you to move from one part of the website to the next without feeling frustrated and getting the results, getting what brought you to that site without any hitch. Not when you come, oh, I'm looking for this product, you search heaven and earth, you cannot find it. That is why when you go to places like Jumia, you have what they call filters. It's these things are put in place to help you filter what you need so you don't go around looking up for something on an online store as if you're actually in the store physically going up and down the aisle looking for that product. Okay, so the idea of an online the idea of tech, in fact, is to make our lives easy. So when we say, oh, we want to do tech, we want to do something, we're trying to make our lives easy, and we're trying to make the lives of other people easy. So everything needs to be easy, and this is one way to begin. You want to sell something, you need to get yourself a UI UX designer to help you make the process seamless. Okay, so also, a great design provides your customers with engaging content and easy navigation. Okay, we've been talking about navigation. This makes the customer satisfied with the services of your application, not like the way I was frustrated today. It makes you satisfied, and when you are satisfied, you are happy. And a happy client, a happy client leads to a happy product owner or service owner, and everybody is happy. If they are not happy, you are not happy, they won't come back to your site again. And if you are not lucky, they will go and tell the next person, which would lead to a very bad ROI for you. Nobody needs that. Okay, so we're going to want to look at design thinking. Okay, design thinking. This is a very critical part of not just UI UX. It's a lot of companies use it. A lot of companies use it. It's a very critical part of project management. It's a very critical part of product management. And I'm sure for some reason or the other, you would have come across design thinking. It means a little bit different things to different professions. Okay, so there are three core phases in design thinking when it comes to UI UX. Okay, they can be categorized into three, but they can also be broken down into many more parts. Okay, so I just grouped mine into three parts, and then we're going to move from one phase to the other, explaining what it is. Okay, so we'll start with empathy. Empathy is very crucial, very important for you. I mean, even the Bible says you should love your neighbor like as yourself, Abi. It really matters in design. If you are trying to design something for another user, you need to have this emotion. Very important. That's why I tell people design is not for everybody, because there are people that lack empathy. Empathy is very crucial because you need to be able to feel. You need to be able to feel, and then to be able to understand who you're designing for, you need to be able to put yourself in their shoes. When you do that, you'll be able to find out what their pain is about this particular problem that they're trying to solve. What is that thing that is frustrating them? Okay, I'll give you a scenario. Like, okay, I know for a fact I haven't been in a bank hall in a very long time. I haven't been in a bank hall because I don't like queuing for anything in my life. I don't like queuing. Okay, so thank God for technology. Some of these things they've come and they've eased our way to avoid things like queuing unnecessarily. Okay, so that's why we now have apps now. We can just go to our apps, we'll do our transaction. When our MasterCard has expired, you know, you can re-register, you can get another one, and things like that. Okay, so for them to be able to get to this place, they had to have thought of, what are these people feeling? They will come every day, they will queue from morning to night. What are these people feeling? Let's do something to ease these people's pain. And then the work of a UX designer is better there. They are like, okay, what do we do? Create something for us. Let's do something. The way these people come here, they queue here, the bank hall is all crowded and all, and then there's no peace for either of us, not them, and we need to find a way to solve this problem. And but they think of more of us than they think of themselves. Of course, without us, they don't have customers, they don't have clients, so no business. Okay, let's find a way. Let's minimize this whole thing so that they can get on with their business whenever they come to the bank, or they don't need to come to the bank. And then they started finding ways. First, they created MasterCard for the ATMs. Then it has moved to the app now, to POS everywhere. And you go to the bank these days, you don't see so much crowd anymore. This is part of design thinking. It's because of the ability to think of designing new solutions that brought about these innovations. If they didn't think about other people, they would still, probably some of us would have given up on banking already, because I know, like many people here, we don't like that experience at all. So empathy is really key. Empathizing allows you to understand your users better. It helps you to look deeper into situations that help them solve their everyday problems. It is how you are able to find innovative ways to solve their problems too when you're creating your apps or mobile sites, as the case may be. Okay, so it's considered a skill. So forgive me, I said if you don't have empathy, it's not for you. Sorry, I take that back. If you don't have empathy, you can learn it. You can learn it. Forgive me. If you don't have empathy, you can learn it. You can learn it. It's a skill. It's considered a skill now, not just a human feeling anymore. It's considered a skill. So you can learn it and you can achieve success in it. Okay, how do you start? You become more you start building empathy when you care about others, and more importantly when you start learning how to listen to others. When you are able to listen to others, that feeling of empathy is going to come to you somehow. So you can learn it. Okay. And then when you are listening, it's not that listening that you will now zone out and be watching the lips move. It's like real listening. You're attentive. You're hearing what the person is saying, and you are also hearing what the person is not saying. So it's that kind of listening that I'm talking about, that deep listening. Somebody is saying one thing, but maybe because you are paying attention, you are seeing the person's face, you can tell there's something else the person is not saying, and then you lean in and, is that all? Are you sure? Are you sure you're fine? Are you sure you've told me everything? And stuff like that. Like in a situation where you need to, when you are talking to somebody and they're talking to you and like, but there's still something they want to say, in those moments where you try to, to prick them to say more to you. That's the kind of listening I'm talking about here. Listen deep, listen attentive, and be present. Okay, when you are trying to cultivate empathy. Okay, so when applying the idea of empathy in UX design, consider adding a website mechanism that randomly polls users about their browsing experience with the opportunity to add feedback. I'll just give you a very good example. Anytime you are done making a call on Teams, Teams will immediately ask you, how do you rate your call? Are you happy with it? They will give you the smiley face, the not so smiley face, and the angry face and all that. So that, and believe me, they don't, if you are truly angry, they are not going to feel, oh, how can she be angry with our call after everything we put together? Those little feedbacks, they help them improve on the products. Okay, so if you notice, whenever you're done with a Teams call, they're going to ask you, especially for people who are watching from their laptop, you see those icons showing you, are you okay, are you satisfied with your call and all that. Then also there are sites that take out their time to ask you for feedback. They want to know the experience you had using their products so they can improve on it. So that's how you can imbibe empathy in your designs. You're thinking, oh, how do we know this thing is working for these people? Let's ask them to tell us so that we'll know if we're on the right track. We'll know if they're enjoying their experience. Believe me, there's nobody that will go anywhere and not enjoy their experience and say they're enjoying it. Go to Google Play Store. You will see people's comments of how some people can be harsher. You go under some apps, you will see how they will blast these people that made these apps. Try and do this. Your app is rubbish. Your app is useless. That. You see it all over Google Play Store under certain apps. And it really helps. You won't see that, oh, they will go and delete those comments. Nobody's going to delete them. They are there so that the next person coming, the idea is the next person coming would be able to find out, oh, is this something I should download or do I pass up on it? Okay, it's like with some of these shopping websites as well. When you finish buying something, they ask their clients to leave a feedback, also with a 5-star rating. They want to know, what was the experience like? The product you got, is it good enough? If it's not good enough, please write it down. And they leave all those reviews there so that the next person coming to buy that product, if they see bad review, they are not buying. So wahala for you, there is no one selling quality in the online shop. I do that a lot. Before I buy one product, I will want to see what people are saying about it. If I just see more than 2 complaints or 3, I give room for that, because there are people that maybe they're having a bad day and they're just going to leave a very bad comment for you. And so because of that one comment, you can't really say, oh, every other person is lying or something. Sometimes you see that it has like a 4.5 rate of good comments. In that kind of situation, I could cut them a slack, because I mean, there's definitely that one person that would never like your product no matter what. But let it be that one in 100 or 2 in 100. Let it not be a case where 50 people in 100 have issues with your product, or 40 is bad, 30 is still even bad. It's still even bad. Which means you need to keep working on it, until you get to that almost perfect phase. Okay, so when you're applying this idea, you are asking feedbacks. You want to know how people are feeling so that you could improve on the product. That is because they're empathizing with the users. So that's that for that. Okay, so the second phase now in design thinking is what we call the expansive thinking, or simply brainstorming. Okay, after empathizing, after figuring out the pain points of your users, what is left now? Now we want to use our head, we want to think so that we can generate ideas around those problems that we've been able to fish out from trying to figure out our users. Okay, what are those ideas we were able to generate? Okay, oh, we figured out they don't like this, they don't like this, they don't like that. Okay, that means when we are building this app, we need to be able to solve this. We need to be able to solve this, and then we are thinking, we are trying to brainstorm with ideas. Okay, like the guys that came up with the ATM ideas, the guys that came up with the POS. You know, this was their moments. This is how they were able to birth those innovative ideas, and then they were able to turn it into the technology that we are now today enjoying. Okay, so at this stage you want to think of you want to think of the idea in your head you think is the dumbest. You give room. And also, something I forgot to mention, design thinking is not something done by one person. Yes, that's very crucial. Don't sit down alone and decide, oh, I know the problem alone and I can build an app by myself. No, 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 no. You're likely to build a one-sided app, an app that you are probably just building for yourself. Since you are the only person involved, you are likely to build an app for you. And if you build an app for you, you have not built it for anybody else. Yes, I had to come back to say that. So if you are building an app, you are building for other people, which means you have to work with a team. You have to work with a team. You can't make those kind of decisions alone, because while you are thinking of this idea, the other person is thinking of this idea, and you don't shoot down anybody's idea, because the idea that might look dumb or not serious in its own can still add something to the whole idea. So no idea is usually a waste. Somebody can just come and say something that you look at the person and like, where are you coming from? Don't do that too. You would see, because you are trying to see things from different angles, from different perspectives. So your team is that first test points. That's like your focus group. That's your first focus group where you are testing your idea. So the more they bring in their ideas, the more you have enough ideas to choose from. So as you people filter these ideas together, because I mean, no matter how silly the idea sounds, you're going to give the person room to explain why they came up with that idea, Abi. And when you allow yourself to ask those kind of questions, you'll be shocked what they're going to come up with. They'll tell you, oh, this, and you would see that it's actually solving something really huge at the end of the day, because that's your focus group. You're testing your idea. You are bringing the idea, you are testing it, and before you know it, you have one solid idea that will work. Okay, so allow people to be themselves and just help you create something magical for your users. Okay, so now the third and final phase is the experimental phase. Okay, we've come up with this idea, and now it's time for us to experiment, which is what we also refer to as the prototype stage. We're going to build a prototype and see how this idea works, and then we're going to see if we are going to go forward with this idea, or we are going to kill the idea, or we're going to tweak it to make sense. Okay, so constructive feedback at this point is very crucial, because you're trying to examine the failure of this prototype that you are creating. Of course, the more you feel, the better for you. It's not the one that you carry it immediately, that is usually the answer. Allow yourself to fail as many times as possible so that you can actually end up with a product that works. So examine the failures of this prototype. Okay, you're thinking worst case scenarios now. What if this happens? What if that happens? You're allowing yourself to think worst case scenarios around this prototype that you have built so that you can forge ahead and, and create something good. Okay. So yeah, those are some design techniques that that are used in design. Okay, UI UX, and even in graphic design is some of the techniques here works for it, but this is strictly for the UI UX techniques. Okay, and our first phase is user research. What is the goal of design research? To inform the design process from the perspectives of the user, which is, if you remember, we talked of empathy. I told you there are 3 ways you could categorize design thinking, but all these techniques fall in between all the 3 phases we just covered just now. So this user research itself is right under empathy, because it is at this stage you are trying to figure out who my user is. Who is my user? What does my user want? So it's at this stage you are able to figure out who your user is. Also, at this stage, you are also trying to figure out the requirements from the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? The people who hired you to build the app. Those are the stakeholders. Those are the people that hired you. Come and build app for us. Okay, now you are doing your research. You want to be able to understand what they are trying to achieve. Because this phase is not always easy, because sometimes people don't really know exactly what they want. So they are counting on you 100% of the time to be able to be the one to tell them, oh, this is the idea I have, this is the idea I have. They will just tell you things like, oh, this is the idea I have. I want this app to be able to achieve this purpose, to achieve that purpose. I just don't know how to get there. And it's entirely up to you to fill in those dots that your stakeholders are trying to, because usually they just have the idea or the concept, not even the idea. They just have the concept like, oh, we want this to be able to do this, but we don't know how it will work. And that's the information they will tell you. So now you are trying to do your research. You are pricking them. Okay, if we want, do you want these people to receive an email after this? Do you want people, you are asking your stakeholders, what is it? What is it you want this thing to do? What is the result? And then that forms part of your research as well. Apart from finding out what your users need, you're also finding out what the stakeholders want as the end product after they have paid you to do app for them. Okay, so there are 3 parts to user research. Okay, we have what is known as the qualitative research. In this phase, what you want to do is observe your users, observe what they're struggling with. Okay, you want to observe them. This user UI UX is money, but that's why a lot of people skip it in this part of the country. That's Nigeria. They like skipping it because it's expensive. Okay, because it requires like some really deep research, and sometimes people just feel, just skip all that, just look for a similar product and see what they did and find a way to improve it. So they just want to skip this part of the research. But in an ideal situation, this part of the research requires you to go out and observe the pain that users are going through that you want to solve. Maybe you want to build a software. I'm going to stick to banking. Just makes sense. okay, before all the tech and everything, and then they want to build something that would improve the way banking is done. It requires that the UI UX and their team go into the field and observe these people and take notes there and then to see what is frustrating these people. Sometimes they will have to also use interview. They will go to the line, you are on the line. Ma'am, what is the issue? I've been here since morning, this thing is like this thing is like this. You as a researcher, you are taking notes, you are writing down. Okay, this woman has issues with this woman has issues with that, and you are writing down as a researcher. You go to another point, you see where you find another bank. What's happening here? You are seeing people, they are squeezing their face. Those are your targets, because you are trying to solve a problem and you are trying to find their pain points. So those ones that cannot hide their pain, they are very good for research. So you approach them politely, strike a conversation, find out what they are feeling, and then you are taking notes. Okay, don't if they don't know that you are doing a research, you are not going to write it in front of them. You have to leave it till you go home. But if you have their consent to observe them and ask questions, then fine, then you can take your notes in front of them. But if they don't know that they are being interviewed, it's better for you to use sense to ask your questions. When you go far away, mile away, you can remove your pad and just write, oh, I noticed this about this person, I noticed that about this person. Okay, so that's how qualitative research works. Then quantitative research is the one that you could just create some form of survey. You can use your Microsoft form or your Google form. You create questions surrounding those problems you are trying to solve, and then you send it to emails, and then or you post the link on Facebook, on all your social networks, or send it through your friends on WhatsApp, and you solicit for them to help respond to these forms. I'm sure some of you have come across such forms. They're just sitting down, and then there's this survey form that lands from nowhere. Is in your email waiting for you. You don't even know who sent it. This is the reason why some of these things happen. Someone is trying to conduct some survey to figure out how to solve the problem. So you will see some of these surveys. Sometimes we are kind enough to fill them, other times we pass on it. But now that you are UI UX designer, maybe you understand their pain now and obliged to fill these forms from now on, since you are going to soon start sending your. Then the next part of the research is competitors analysis. Okay, by building a product, you want to know, you have to see you have to see what your competition is doing. What is my competition doing? Oh, they have this app. The app does this, does that, but the app is not doing this. Another place to go and find out what is going on: Google Play. Go to Google Play, see what people are complaining about those apps. They are complaining, oh, this is this, which means when I'm building my own, I have to avoid all these complaints. That would make your own app better. When you go to where they're selling some sort of product or service and people have one complaint or the other, maybe the price is too high, you say, okay, how do I, break into this market? Then you find a way to, I'm just like painting a normal scenario now. How do I break into this market? Okay, maybe everybody's selling amala, and I want to do amala business. I say, okay, how do I break into the market? I'm going to first of all make my amala cheap and all that, so that people will come. Okay, so that's how it is for when you are building digital products as well. How do you break into the market? Find out what your competitors are doing. Okay, that's why I gave a scenario with Google Play. When you go to Google Play, you see people complaining, lashing out on so many things, and I want to build an app that is similar to the one that people are lashing out. You're going to take note of those things. What are those things that people are complaining? Some of the comments, the person will not even state the issue. You have to be patient. That is your work. You have to be patient. So you go through all these. You ask questions about the products around. Either way, you need to analyze your competition to be able to come out with something different, something that sells, something that works. Either way, you have to do that. So that's it on that. Okay. Okay. Now moving to the next phase. We have done all this research. What do we do with our data? We analyze it. We analyze our data. At this point, we want to put together our findings. We want to see, okay, what are those papers? Now let's group it. Let's put them in different papers and separate them. Let's pin them separately. Let's arrange them so that as we are building the app, we know what feature to include to help address all these pains. That's the importance of analyzing the data that you have gotten from your research. Let's put this together. Let's analyze these issues together. Oh, where are the people that are experiencing this pain? We'll put them on one side. Where are the group B people that are experiencing this pain? We'll put them on the other side. And then another thing we want to look at, because that's how analysis works. The other thing we want to look at, we say, okay, the people experiencing this pain, how old are they? These ones, what is their own age brackets too? Then by the time we group them in segments like that, we are likely to create a user-specific product that addresses a specific problem. That's the importance of that. Okay, so this data helps your product team to understand their target users, to reveal information about your users, pain points. I'm repeating myself. Supports data-driven design. Data-driven design. Data is important. We don't want to go about solving all the problems that nobody sent us. That is why the data will help us solve specific designs. Okay, and when we are able to solve specific designs, it means we have created a successful product. So that is very important. Okay. Now another technique that is being employed also in this design phase is what UX designer what they do now is, and I need to also state that what we've discussed so far from design thinking right to this stage is what the UX designers are doing. It is them that are doing all this one now like this. The thinking, the processes, the research, that's the job of a UX designer. Okay, so as a profession, if you are just a UX designer, you can see how what we've covered so far. If you are just a UX designer minus the UI, you don't know how to design and you are not designing. If you are just a UI, that's a huge profession on its own, and it pays really well in many parts of the world. They pay UX designer good money. As you can see, their job is not busy. So they are doing a great job, and then it pays really high in so many parts of the world. They pay UX designers very well to do their work, even more than UI designers sometimes. So if you are just a UX designer, oh, that is okay. You don't need to be both, or if you can be both, fantastic. Okay, so moving on to creating personas. Personas are fictional characters that UX designers create. Okay, now they've gone to the field, they've gathered data, they've analyzed this data, they've grouped this data. Oh, this person is this. What they now do is, okay, let's create a persona. Let's create a fictional person. They'll say, okay, this person that has this problem, let's call him Steven. Then they create tags. They say, who is Steven? Then they create a Steven board specifically for just Steven. Remember, they're trying to solve user-specific problems. So they're going to create Steven with all these problems. This is Steven's pain. This is Steven's pain. So we want to be able to create we want to be able to solve a problem for Steven. So they create a scenario. Let's assume this is Steven. And based on the survey or the interview, they say, oh, Steven is a 40-year-old man. Steven doesn't like going to the bank to queue. Stephen does not own a car. Stephen would love a situation where he's at home and his bank problems are solved. And then they create that persona based on the data they've gathered and they create Stephen's board. They will go another board and create another board for Susan. Who is Susan? Susan is 20 years old. Susan is a student and a businesswoman. Susan is too busy to go to the bank. What is Susan's problem? Susan wants to be able to solve her banking issues and it does not interfere with her school life and her business. They go to another board and then they create another persona for Paul. Paul is an 80-year-old pensioner. Paul is too old to go to the bank. And all those kind of scenarios, they create, personas. They create different personas so as to be able to have, so that they can create, solve problems based on each of these behaviors and their experiences and their goals. So when they do that, when all these people are able to visit the app at the end of the day, they'll find out that, oh, this app is solving my problem. Stephen will come too and log onto this app and see, oh, this app is solving my problem. Why? Because when they were building it, they thought of Stephen. So Stephen can solve his problem. They thought of Paul. So Paul can solve his problem. So that's how personas work. So yeah, so personas make the design task at hand less complex. They guide your idea process and they can help you achieve the goal of creating a good user experience for your target user groups. Yes, it's worthy to mention that Stephen is a representation of more Stephens like him, people with similar people in the same age bracket, people with you can't have one person feeling the way Stephen is feeling. There are numerous people like Stephen. There are so many people like Paul that are old and aged and they cannot go to the bank. They are receiving their pension. So Stephen and Paul are a representation of those kinds of people that are out there that the app wants to address. So that's another thing to note when creating persona. That one person is representing a group of people so that you can target as many user groups as possible and at the same time with one app. Okay, so now we move on to the ideation phase. Remember where the ideation phase was in our design thinking process. That's our experimenting. Okay. Sorry, our expansive thinking and brainstorming phase. That's where ideation was. So all the ones I've discussed so far, they are under the first phase. They all still fall under empathy. If you notice, I was worried, I was still trying to stress, oh, what is this person going through? Oh, who is this person? Why should I be bothered about Paul the pensioner and all that? But I have to be if I need to create an app for Paul. So all those still fall under empathy. Now, this goes into the next phase of design thinking, ideation. What's what we talked about ideation, we need people to bring their ideas, no matter how flawed. It's not for anybody to judge. You just let the ideas flow in, and then eventually you can filter them. Okay, so this is the creative process where the designers generate ideas in sessions. They think, some of these, oh dear, what is happening? Did I just log out? Oh, sorry, I thought I logged out of my, okay, yeah, sorry. Oh, okay. Can you hear me? I hope I'm not be talking to myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, very much.
So,
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Thank you very much. I should be asking you this question every 2 minutes. Let me be hearing your voice. Okay, thank you so much. Ideation. Okay, so
You're welcome.
thank you. Ideation, gives room to brainstorm, come up with ideas, and yeah, that's why I also mentioned it is the third stage in the design thinking process where participants gather with open minds. You have to be open-minded to produce as many ideas as they can address a problem statement in a facilitated, judgment-free environment. The environment has to be judgment-free. If you want to get the best out of people, make sure you don't give them that sense of judgment, like you are underestimating them or anything, so that you can hear what is in their hearts. There are times that people are not good with expressing themselves, but they really know what it is. They know the answer, but they are not so great at expressing themselves. So you need to make sure that the environment is judgment free, so that those people are able to chip in. You know, you never know where your solution will come from. It's in their mouth, though. Those ones that are not talking, it's their mouth. It's there in their head. And unless you create such an environment, you have lost your solution. Okay, so moving on to working with scenarios. Now, in this phase, after we are finished thinking on all, we want to think of scenarios now. When we've designed our app and when we are putting our app ideas together, we also want to think of scenarios. Okay, you are left to be asking at this stage. You say, what if this happens? What if that happens? At this stage, you want to, create stories that the users might act out to achieve a goal in a particular situation or an environment. Okay, so designers, they make scenarios to understand users' motivations, their needs, their barriers, and all that. So they try to create scenarios where something could really go wrong and how the users would react and all that. They are thinking that far. They're thinking that far, like, oh, yeah, what if this happens? What if that happens? Okay, so they are able to build the solutions around those kind of scenarios. So sorry about that. Okay, so they sit down, they imagine problems a user could be going through. Okay, for instance, oh, now we already have the ATMs and all that, and then they're also going far to think, okay, what if the person goes to withdraw money, the ATM doesn't work, or they're thinking worst case scenarios, or as it is these days now, you withdraw money, somebody is looking at where you are going to, and if you notice, POS came later. Now, when you withdraw money by the bank and you are going, maybe somebody is trying to get to you because of the cash and all that. So that gave birth to having POS in so many points where people don't have to be in a specific place trying to collect money. Now you can just go to the junction of your road, you use POS, you collect money and you leave. Those are some of the technological innovations that were abetted out of this kind of thinking, when you think scenarios and all that. So that's that on that. Okay, so now we're at the prototype stage. All right, now we've done all the ideas, we've done the scenarios, we've created personas, and we want to build a prototype. Okay, we want to build something that looks like our final app. We want to see it, want to test it, want to see if it's working. So we are going to build a prototype, and then we start piecing all this information together, and then we start building a prototype. Usually the prototype comes as a sketch or what is known as a wireframe. Okay, mind you, this is beginners UI/UX. Okay, so as we go from here to the next phase, some of these terms will become more familiar to you. Okay, so we use sketching just with your pencil and paper. You can sit down, you will sketch maybe a screen of a website or a screen of your mobile app. You say, oh, because of this person's age, I'm going to put this button at these strategic points. Maybe now you are considering Paul now. You remember Paul? So we'll say because of this, because of Paul's age, we are going to make sure we put this button here so that when Paul logs into our app, Paul can immediately see where to go to. Then we'll say, oh, because of Mommy Janet's love for color, we need to put a bright color on this particular app button so that it can reel her in for her to continue shopping on our site. Okay, so those are the kind of questions that you ask yourself. What is happening? Why is my whiteboard coming up? Sorry. I'm having a technical glitch here. Technical glitch. Let me return back to my slide. Sorry. Okay. Let's quickly get to where we were. Sorry, be with you. Almost there. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. It was just a technical thing. I don't know what happened. They just switched me to whiteboard. All right. Thank you for being patient. Okay. So the goal of your prototype is to test and validate your ideas. Remember, you came up with so many ideas, you filtered those ideas. Now, when you build your prototype, you'll be able to tell if those ideas actually work or not before you go and share them with your stakeholders. Remember who our stakeholders are, those people that are benefiting from this app, the people that hired us, the people that are using it, all of them, they form the category of the stakeholders, okay? So, but the main stakeholders are the ones that hired you, the UX designer. They are your first category stakeholders because they hired you, and when you finish building your app, they are the first person you are going to do a presentation to show if your app is working and all that, and if it's up to satisfaction and if it solves the problem that they want you to solve, okay? Before you now go and make the final designs, okay, and hand over to the engineering team. Now, the engineering team we're talking about now are our software developers, except in this case now that we are future power platform, power app developers. We are our designers and developers at the same time. We need to clap for Microsoft. It's not easy. So these prototypes, they are essential for identifying and solving user pain points. If you notice, I'm saying user pain point because yes, that is the goal. In the end, that is the goal. We want to solve a pain that somebody is going through out there. That is it. So it's very crucial like that. Okay. So these prototypes are essential for identifying and solving these pain points with participants during usability testing. Yes, this is another important part. I wanted to discuss it as a topic, but I just fused everything here in my testing, usability, everything is here. Usability testing is where you're going to now form your second stage of focus groups. These focus groups now, they are not part of your team anymore. They are people you would randomly, in some countries, people get paid to join focus groups in some countries. Okay, so I believe in our country too, we should pay people to join focus groups because these people are very crucial to your processes. They are going to come and tell you, they are going to come and use this app and try and understand it and tell you what is wrong with it so that you can fix it. And without them, moving forward is at your own risk. Of course, a lot of people just build their apps and they don't worry about some of this risk, but it is very crucial. If we had if we had companies paying UI UX designers to actually conduct these thorough techniques before they build their app, we will not have problematic apps all over the place. It would really minimize the number of apps that we have in Google Play Store that are not working, because we have so many that are just not working. So if we had companies that would hire a UX designer and say, oh, I want you to handle these things for me and make sure I get an app that works at the end of the day, we won't have apps, many apps that don't work all over the place. We have really great apps that are doing what they're supposed to do. So usability tests, now when your stakeholders pay you enough, you are going to be able to form a focus group where you have people that you are going to send invitations to. They are going to gather in a space and try to, see this prototype and try and understand how it works. And even if there are softwares now, which we are going to look at later in this track, that you can use to build these prototypes and send out to people to see how they are going to use these apps. They are going to respond back to you and tell you, oh, this button was not so obvious, this font was bad, this color is all over the place, the contrast is, they are going to be able to tell you, and then and give you feedback that will help you improve your products. I know there are companies solely who do UI testing abroad for their clients. Okay, there's actually a site called UI testing. You can go and sign up there as a UI designer, or just anybody with any other profession, and what they do is they pay you in dollars to be able to test the UI of a website for a company. So that's to tell you that that's not something they joke with. Okay, so when you go to uitesting.com, for instance, when you go to UI testing, you will sign up, then you will test the UI for companies. These are websites that are already existing, some of them. Some of them, they are existing, but nobody knows about them because it has not really met the criteria for really being out there. So they they call people, oh, come and help us test this UI. We are going to pay you $1 just for testing the UI. And then, they do that a lot. I've not seen anything like that around here, but just to tell you the importance of UI UX. Okay, so they do usability testing. They want to see how does this work? Does it not work? And then they see if they can go on from there, or they can just abandon the idea or start again. Those are usually the options. Okay, so testing prototypes with end users enable UX teams to visualize and optimize the user experience during the design process. Engineering is expensive. It is very expensive to develop software. It is very expensive. So instead of just jumping into developing software, I see people, they'll just come. I have this app in my head. I want you to help me design this software that we do this from nowhere. They are not even thinking of, they won't even tell you, oh, okay, I want you to see if this is something that can work. This is the problem I'm trying to solve. I want you to do a research for me and see how we can create an app that will solve this problem. Nobody will come and tell you something like that. You just see most people saying, this is what we want. We just want you to do an app like this. And sometimes they'll tell you they want it in 2 weeks. No app can be built in 2 weeks. Even in 6 months, you have to keep debugging until you perfect that app. So when you see people rushing you, they want to build app, and then the only place you can do that kind of app is where Microsoft Power Apps. You cannot do it anywhere else again like that. It's in Microsoft Power Apps. You can come and build app in 1 week and it will work. Because why? Microsoft have done 80% of the job for you. You, your own now, as a correct UI UX designer now, is to come and make sure you put these buttons in a way they should work, choose the right colors, and make it look good and easy for your users to use. That's the one that's remained for you now. But most of the back-end mechanisms functionalities rather, have been done for you by Microsoft. Somebody should clap for Microsoft. Okay, that's that. So yeah, fixing errors is very crucial during this process, because you don't want to come and spend money doing design and doing software. When you finish, then you will now say, okay, from feedback of the users, you will now refix the app. That's what most people do, especially in this part. I notice they will create a very, very bad app. Then they will say they are not going to fix it until they have seen feedback. As if the person that is going to go and fix the software is supposed to do it for free. So, and he does not have any time and anything to do with his time. His own is just to be fixing your software for you, so that as people are giving negative feedback, the person will be refixing the stress. Okay, so testing, our final phase. We have finished prototype. Now we want to test. Okay, so it focuses this aspect. Now we have been saying testing since anyway, but let me just reiterate. Okay, so this part is just to test it, to make sure everything functions as it is. Okay, now we have done prototype. We have failed at our prototype. Now we have gone back to do another prototype. We have failed again. We now did another one that is working. We now say, well, let's test it again. Let's be sure there are no loopholes. Okay, because there's like this fantastic app I love using for banking, because they don't have charges. That's how they drew my attention. No charges. Because the kind of charges that I get from my bank, when I heard that there was no charges, I did not even think twice. And I went and I was using a good app, great app, but some issues here and there. You are trying to register, because they told me that I cannot put a certain amount until I have my identity card. Now they made rooms for all these cards, voters cards, even the NIM slip, but they did now not make room for the original NIMC card. I don't know which one is supposed to be more important, whether it's the slip or the card. They give us the slip before we collect the original card. But these people, they made room for the slip and they did not make room for the card. And I'm noticing that it's like in this country, they give more preference to the slip more than the card. Me, when I collected my own slip, I destroyed my card, I destroyed my own slip. But now when I go to the bank, they'll say it's the slip they want. So I'm wondering, like, how is that supposed to be more important than the original card? So that's the same thing this app did. They just didn't give room for my card, and me, I'd already misplaced my voter's card. It's now that I have to do another one and vote. So I had misplaced my voter's card. So it meant that I couldn't keep a certain amount beyond a certain amount in my account, and it was very frustrating for me, because I really didn't want to have anything to do with regular banks that were charging me. I was done with them. I wanted to be in the bank that was not charging me shishi. So that's by the way. All right, so testing, you make sure that your users are really enjoying, they are not going to have so much issue navigating your site and flowing from one part of the site to the other and all that. Okay, which brings us to this very important concept known as information architecture. Very important. Okay, is also known as IA, not AI. Please don't confuse this with AI. This is not AI. This is IA. Information architecture is a very crucial part of the UX design process. Okay. So this is it follows a very similar pattern to flow charting. Well, we're supposed to talk about flow charting, but I've been talking about user flows all the time. So I believe you probably understand that from the word flow charting. That's just the user flow within your interface, okay? And also beyond just the interface, because we're talking UX now. UX has nothing to just do with just the feel. It's a whole experience. It's the back end, is everything, how everything works, the functionality. That's UX. But UI is just that part that you are seeing, that your eye can see. That is UI. But that part self that your eye cannot see, you know, when you click a button, something happens, right? Something happens. That process itself that happens that you are not seeing is part of the UX. That's why I made reference to OTTP. OTTP is a part of UX. It's part of the UX because if I click and I say, okay, register me, and they say, oh, okay, wait for you OTTP. That time that I'm using to wait for the OTTP to come is part of my experience on the site. I'm waiting. So it's my experience. So how long it takes that OTTP to come now is the wahala. If it takes too long, you are frustrating me as your user. If it comes immediately, you have done well for me. And then we both move on happily ever. So the challenge now when building AI is understanding how your app or website actually works from the user's perspective. Empathy again, empathy is everywhere. Okay, and also not just empathy now. It's all empathy. I cannot even remove empathy. Sorry, it's all empathy. Okay, how the website or app works from the user's perspective, how they organize the information into readable, legible format. Okay, for instance, I chose this white on black background. So you won't have any issues with reading what is on the slide so that you can easily just see it and say, oh, this is what it is. Imagine if I had written this white font on a yellow background. Half of you would have left by now, if not all. So what it is doing, this is readable for you. This is legible for you, okay? So when you visit my app, when you visit my website, you want to be able to see the information you're looking for very clearly in front of you. That is how information architecture works. You want to be able to see the information, okay? So there are like two major requirements for your IA, okay? That's which is to arrange, to organize your visual in a particular hierarchy. We're going to go deep into this when we go to our next course, which is design. We're going to go into design fully. This is UX, okay? And design is for design takes care of the UI more. So we're going to go deep into things like hierarchy and all that so that you can really picture what this is, okay? So this just talks about the hierarchy of the features and the functions and the behaviors, okay? When you are talking hierarchy now, you are saying, okay, which button should come before which one? How you arrange it, how how you arrange which subtitle comes before this one. When you go to the site, the first thing you want to see is, okay, you want to see the logo so that you know you're in the right site, Abi. Next thing you want to see the menu. Okay, if you're on the website, you want to see the menu displayed, just across horizontally so that you can know where to go from there. And then if you're on an app, those hamburger menu or waffle menu, we'll learn more of this as we are learning our design. Those three buttons on the side where you can just click and it will drop down many more stuffs for you. That menu is called hamburger. Then the one that is dots, like 9 dots, is called waffle menu. Okay, so we'll learn more about this as we go into the design phase. Okay, so that is that. Okay, yeah, still talking about the same thing: information architecture, the rectangles, the shapes, all those things, how they are being placed, that forms the information architecture in UX design. Okay, so yeah, these are just references for some of you that would want to request for the slide. You'll be able to go to some of these sites where I got some of my information from and read further. Also, I would like to implore you to go to sign up with LinkedIn Learning and follow the UIUX design part. Download your LinkedIn Learning app. Maybe some of you already have it. The first month is free. Then you will start paying after that. So if UIUX is something you see you want to really do, believe me, if you put your heart to it, you will finish the courses you want to finish within the first 3 months. Then for some of you that can afford to keep going, because there are so many resources there. There are so many resources there. So for some of you that can afford to keep going, you can subscribe. But for those of you that, maybe for one reason or the other, you can just be like me and use the first month and learn what you want to learn. And then I assure you, the sky is your limit. Maybe some of you will not even come back for the intermediate course, because by then most of you would have even known more than me, because believe me, the resources that are there are just, they are out of this world. Okay, I used it to form part of my curriculum even for this lesson, and you are going to see much more information on LinkedIn Learning. So you follow the UIUX part and keep earning your free certificates as you learn until the subscription is over after a month. Okay, so thank you so much for sticking with me throughout this course, and thank you for your time. Really grateful for your sticking around. I don't know if you have questions that you want to ask or you've already dropped in the comment section. I'll attend to each and every one of them. Okay, if you need the slides, I can send that to you as well. Thank you so much.
I will need the copy.
Okay, you have a question?
I will need the copy of.
Hello, are you there?
Yeah, hello.
Okay, you said you need what?
The slide, the slide.
Okay, slide. Oh, I'm going to drop a link to the slide.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Any other question?
Please, I want to ask, is there any training program for the UI UX?
Okay, like an online course that you can earn a certificate?
Yes.
Yeah, you could do, there's the Coursera Google UI UX class. If you go on
Can you just help
Coursera,
us paste the link in the Microsoft Teams?
okay, I'll do that.
So to
I'll
be
paste the links of all the courses you can get, all the certifications. I'll do
okay.
that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I can see another hand. Yes, go on.
Yeah, thank
Hello,
you
can you
so
hear me?
much.
I can hear you.
Good afternoon.
Go on. Good afternoon.
My name is West. I'm currently doing a course, a UX UI design course
Okay.
in Coursera, as you said. So we are in the stage of portfolio. I'm trying to know more about portfolio and building a problem statement for portfolio projects. So I've been finding it difficult
Okay.
to finish that place. So I've been so stuck. So I don't know if you can throw more light for me to understand it.
Okay. Portfolio, if we're talking about portfolio right now, would be moving 2 steps ahead, because what we're going to do now in the following weeks is I'm going to engage us on how to use Figma. When we finish that, We are going to create an interface for mobile app, maybe a couple of screens, and then for website. When we finish that, we will get into portfolio after that. So I don't want to rush. I don't want to.
Okay, ma. Okay, thank you very much, ma. Thanks for the training,
Yes.
ma. I
Yeah.
really
Okay.
enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then what's this thing I want to say? Okay, yeah. Any more questions? Let me just hear from you first.
Emma, can you hear me, ma?
I can hear you. Hi, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma. Ma, I just want to remind you that you have not dropped the links.
No, I will do that. I will do that. I want to be done with you people.
Okay, and the slide. Thank you, ma.
Coursera, you can get Coursera in Google now, but you have to pay for it. So it's not free. You pay for it.
But I think it's better for her to drop the link also.
Oh,
I will drop it. I will drop it. I will drop
Okay,
it.
thank you, ma.
Yes, I'll drop it now. Just
Okay, ma.
all
Good
right. Thank you
afternoon.
very
So,
much.
in order to
Welcome.
say,
Okay.
good afternoon.
Sorry, I can hear you.
The link, they said we are going to pay for it, right? Is it true?
Yes, for Coursera, yes.
What about
It's not,
students
Coursera is
who
not a
go?
free course. There is the only free course that you can find now and get certification for is the LinkedIn learning I mentioned. When you go on LinkedIn learning, you are going to be able to have a first free month that you can learn your UI/UX pathway. When you finish, they will give you a certificate. That is the only free certification for UI/UX that exists that I know about. All the others are paid certifications. So if you want a free certification, leverage on your first free month on LinkedIn Learning, then finish your LinkedIn Learning course and earn all your certificates. You are going to receive more than 6 certificates for that course. So if you can leverage on it, you download the app and then you learn UI/UX parts. Then you get all your certificates. It is after that 1 month you are going to start paying. So if you can do that, it will really help. If it is a free certificate you want, only on LinkedIn Learning.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
I don't have any question. I just wanted to say thank you for this class, for your energy and your time. I just wanted to appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. That is very hard one. Thank you. I appreciate you too. Thank you for your time too.
Ma, hello, ma.
Yes.
Me
Yes,
too.
please.
Me too. I just want to thank you because I really like the way you are talking.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, ma.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, ma.
Amina. Hello, Amina.
Babuje,
Yes, this your energy. They reduce, Abby. I love your energy, Sha. Still, you're
thank
still,
you.
you're still at,
Thank you, Mr. Babuje.
you're doing well. Well done, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, guys, if there's no question, I would hang up and
Okay.
drop the slides for you.
Okay, ma. And
Thank you
there's
very
another.
much.
Hello, ma. There's
Yes,
another
please.
thing I want to say. I like the way you are encouraging us and don't give up. Keep doing it. Even
Thank
not
you.
just
God
not
bless
just
you.
in
Thank
not
you
just
very
in this
much.
not just in this section. Maybe when you are teaching other people or at any time, Sha, keep encouraging.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
And
Your words are gold to me. I'm grateful.
and
Thank you so
you, ma.
much.
Yeah.
All right. Enjoy the
Amina,
rest of your day. Okay, I can see another
Amina,
hand. Please go on.
Amina has been like this for years. So this is not just now. I know her like that. She has been like this for years. This is what she do. Like it's a lifestyle for her. So when you get to
Okay.
meet her one, you understand that this is who she is and she has not changed. I think I knew
Okay.
her since like 2017 or so.
while she was talking and while the other guy was commenting, something just tell me I should say that she should keep encouraging people, even not just in this place, every part of her life, that she should keep encouraging people.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful for your words. Your words are really encouraging. I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
You're
If there's not
welcome.
any question, I would hang up and drop the slides for you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for your time. I'm really grateful.
Thank you for your time
Thank you.
too.
All right,
Thank
bye, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you.